All right, can you please state your name and go ahead?
My name is Cheryl Collier. I'm an associate professor of political science who studies gender and politics at the University of Windsor.
All right.
And I guess the question that's being put to me is, does feminism matter? This is a huge question, and I would suggest that in order to answer it correctly, you have to think about the premise behind it. And the premise behind it is that feminism means one thing. And I would suggest it doesn't mean one thing to all people. It means many things to many different people. And I think that's one of the misconceptions about feminism. And a lot of people have one idea about feminism. It's about man-hating, or it's about bra burning, or it's about pushing for rights that women already have. And I think those premises would seem to suggest that feminism doesn't still matter. But I like to think about feminism as being about thinking and including women in your conversation. And if you think about that, then of course feminism still matters. When we think about how we educate people, are we thinking about how to educate women and men together as students in university, or at the high school level, or at the grade school level? Are we thinking about the uniqueness and differences between them? Are we thinking about the fact that women bear children and that they need different things in life to facilitate that? We think about their bodies being different than men's bodies. That is something that is unique. That there's health challenges. If it's about heart attacks or cancer, there's different kinds of diseases that are more prevalent in men than women, and vice versa. And if we're thinking about those differences, then we're thinking about what I would say is feminism. And feminism, of course, is about equality. And a lot of people might think that women and men are equal, and I think in many instances that's the case. At least under the law they are. But in other ways, when we look at pay gap that still exists in society, if we look at some of the professions that tend to still exclude women, and it's not because the professions necessarily are trying to do that, but because society still kind of thinks about women doing certain types of jobs and men doing other types of jobs, maybe it's not as equal as it could be. And I would think, if we're thinking about whether or not feminism still matters, that's an important thing to think about broadly, is, do we have the kind of equality that we want to have in society? And in some cases we do, in other cases we don't. Finally, the last thing I would say is that if we think about whether feminism still matters, we have to think in a global context. And as we know, recently there were troops in Afghanistan fighting for the liberation of Afghan people in many different aspects of life. But one of the ones that I think the Canadians think about is that women weren't allowed to get education, or to gain education at the same level as men. And of course that's something that most people would not agree with, and would see as being an unequal treatment of women. So we can't just think about this in the context of North America or Canada. We have to think about it globally, and are women treated equally in a global context? And I think if we think about and break down feminism in many different ways, then we realize that it really does matter. And I think it's important for people to really explore what feminism is, what it means to them, what it means to their communities, and what it means to the global world. And I think it becomes less a scary word than some people tend to associate with the concept of feminism.